Welcome back to Old Truthford, the home of honestly biased sports content. Today, we're going to be revisiting an old friend, Jose Diogo Dalot Teixeira. I've made it very apparent for years at this point that I believe Diogo Dalot is not good enough to be playing for Manchester United. But given the fact that the United fanbase now appear to be catching on to what a fraud this man is, Dalot is proof that you can have a very long and successful career in any industry as long as you're good at looking busy. Dalot is that footballer where if you watch just a tiny clip of him, you might think he is terrible. But after watching him for the full 90 minutes, you realise you're absolutely right. By the way, this could be Dalot's last season as a United player. He's already touched the highest of his ceiling at this club. There's nothing more to improve on. His best is just not good enough. I thought we could wind back the clock and talk about what a great season this guy is having. The man is not only a liability, but he's also an imposter, as you can see by his apparent celebration after Arsenal's goal against us at home.
But wait! There's more!
Against Fulham, a routine pass, all he has to do is shield the ball and play it out to Fernandes, who is charging up the midfield. But what does he do? He tries a fancy turn, which he completely messes up with his two left feet, and the Fulham player easily reads his turn. The Fulham player then easily shields the ball, the thing which Dalot should have chosen to do. The player passes it to the midfielder, who is free because Mbeumo is high up the pitch, expecting to counter, as we were in position only 4 seconds ago until Dalot got his grubby mitts on the ball. Now Dalot is in a position where he needs to be proactive and close the player on the ball down, otherwise he has all the time in the world to pick out a cross. What does he do? Yep, you guessed it, absolutely nothing. He goes into his famous crab stance. The ball gets played out wide. Dalot is doing his usual come at me bro crab stance that he does when he has to engage in defending, because he's absolutely terrified of putting a challenge in. The two Fulham players have all the time in the world to think about their play because there's no pressure being applied to them by Dalot. He's literally a sitting duck at this point. Mbeumo gets back, but at this point, Duck Dalot has gifted Fulham a free cross into the box. And you guessed it, Fulham go on to score. Now, let's look at Grimsby. Dalot is 1v1 with a man whose market value is just over his weekly wage. The irony of a player who you could literally purchase with your weekly salary owning you is just too much. There it is, the crab stance. Hunching over, looking as though you're going to aggressively attack the ball, all just to stand there like a weeping angel. Thanks, Dalot. The player realises that Dalot is never going to put a challenge in, so he passes it to a midfielder, and guess what? It ends up in a goal. Fortunately, this one was disallowed. Now, there's a free ball, as you can see in the air here. Dalot is running in a straight line towards his box. He doesn't even clock that the ball is still in play, putting him at a disadvantage to the forward, who is still chasing and running for the ball. How a supposed defender doesn't cover the ground just in case is beyond me. He then clocks that the ball is still in play, watch him panic. How does he make up for this error in judgment? Does he A, tackle the defender, B, foul the defender, C, do the crab stance? You guessed it, he does the crab stance. Honestly, he is begging to get nutmegged. I'm surprised more players haven't tried to meg him. But then again, it's so easy to get past him, as we see here. What's the point in megging him? The Grimsby player skips past Dalot and gets the cross off, resulting in a corner. Now, with corners, people can view them very differently. What I will highlight is that Diogo Dalot is marking this space here. He's actually the deepest defender back. He then ends up here, and the ball is in the back of the net.
Coincidence? I think not!
Now this one, I don't know what goes on in this man's head other than pure panic. There's a Grimsby counter-attack. This is Dalot's man. He's sprinting back to get him. He almost arches his run, thinking he's going to slide tackle him, and it's going to be a great block. He leaps on the ground, like 2 meters away from the Grimsby player. The Grimsby player strikes the ball. Heaven is about to fully block it with his body, and look who's there on the ground at Heaven's feet. Diogo Dalot. Here's another angle so you can see just how far away from the player Dalot was. He had no reason to slide tackle here. If anything, he almost prevents Heaven from getting to the ball. If Dalot wasn't there, then Heaven would have got his head on the ball maybe. The man is a liability. I hope that the points I'm making are coming across, guys, because there is an endless supply of defensive mistakes to eat off of when it comes to Dalot. For example, Grimsby come forward, Dalot now on the left-hand side, makes no difference, by the way, left or right, he makes exactly the same mistakes. Dalot applies no pressure, gives the forward time to think. Guess what? Ends in a goal. Fortunately, this one was also disallowed. Now, against Burnley, we're 1-0 up, looking to establish ourselves in the game, and Dalot seems to believe he's now a centre-back. And he's telling De Ligt to go out wide and mark the winger. De Ligt takes his natural position as a centre-back, as he should. In this time, since the miscommunication, 5 seconds have passed, and just now, Dalot decides to take up his actual position. But as you can see, the trajectory of his run, he's again not running to the man, he's running to open space, allowing the forward all the time in the world to pick out a cross. Of course, he crosses the ball because if you're given all the time in the world, why wouldn't you? And you guessed it, this mistake resulted in a goal for Burnley. Now, one of the narratives that has surrounded Dalot is that going forward, he's actually pretty decent. No, he's not. Not only because of the fact he averages a goal every 24 games, that's about 2 a season maybe, but because his overall decision-making is absolutely atrocious. In this position, Dalot has 4 options. Pass to Mbeumo, and he can cross the ball into Sesko or Cunha. Play it in between the defenders and find Sesko. Play it in the acres of space in front of Cunha. Hold the ball up and take control of the game. Diogo decides to play it to Cunha. The only problem is his passing is so subpar that he didn't put enough on the ball to play it to Cunha in space, meaning Cunha has to curve his run in order to try and get in front of a Brentford player that's chasing him. Cunha is tackled because of a poor pass, and now Brentford are on the counter-attack. And lo and behold, they go on to score. A long ball is played forward for Brentford down Dalot's flank. Now, instead of sniffing out the danger, Dalot appears to be curving his run to the inside of the pitch instead of, I don't know, defending his wing. It's in the name, Dalot, you're a right wing back. Instead of joining the now 2v1, which De Ligt has found himself in to cover for Dalot, Dalot decides to come into the centre of the pitch to mark no one. We're now in a position where Maguire has to shut down the winger. Dalot has decided to cover the centre of the box, which another Brentford player is attacking. He then arches his run again instead of moving to his right to cover the space. Brentford get the shot off and it's saved by Bayendir, but this space that Dalot should be covering is now wide open to be attacked. And you guessed it, it resulted in a goal for Brentford. Thanks, Dalot. Here's another angle just so you can see how ridiculous this is. Before the ball has even dropped, Dalot is running towards the goal instead of the ball and player, leaving De Ligt absolutely stranded in a 2v1. Dalot looks to his left, he sees the Brentford player off the ball getting into space, and yet he just leaves him to run into that space. It doesn't cross his mind, maybe I should move more centrally? Don't get me wrong, obviously Bayendir playing it into the danger area didn't help, but my question is, why was Dalot not in the danger area? If I just photoshopped Dalot out of all of these images, no difference would have been made, which pretty much sums up his entire Manchester United career. Is he there? Sure, but what difference does he make? Other than obviously being the hype man as seen in our latest win against Sunderland, where he was trying his best to get into the eyesight of Mason Mount, all for him not to even look at him. Dalot literally bends his celebration so that Mount will acknowledge him. Meanwhile, Mount's thinking, just let me celebrate, little bro. This had nothing to do with you. I mean, he gives him a high five out of courtesy, but look at his face. Even he's confused by Dalot's desperation to get acknowledgement. And of course, Mount can't even get a frame to do his celly without having Dalot in the background high-fiving everyone. Fortunately, people are now beginning to switch on when it comes to Dalot. It's not just the fact he posts more photos with Cristiano Ronaldo than he does his own wife. It's not just the fact he sucks up to every manager he has to the extent he tries to copy their fashion sense. It's the fact he's been mediocre year after year, and people seem to ignore this either because he's besties with Cristiano, he gives the media interviews, or he high-fives their favourite player. I could break his career down, but I've already done that in my previous 2 Dalot videos. Amorim, if you're watching this, please sell Dalot. Cash in while you can and go for a real wingback. With Ahmad and Mazraoui fit, there's no place for Diogo Dalot in this team, and I'm hoping Amorim wakes up to that fact. I'm going to leave it there, folks, but do let me know what you think about Diogo Dalot, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the home of honestly biased sports content. But for now, Godspeed.